Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a couple weeks since we've done one of these fishing videos. Just been busy lately. Last 2 weeks I've been working on this bass boat of mine, trying to get the deck all done and get it extended. And I think the bass boat's going to look really awesome once I get it finished. And so I'm really looking forward to getting done with that project. And just haven't given you guys an update lately because the last 2 weekends, all the tournaments that I was going to fish, they got canceled due to the weather. 2 weeks ago, I was going to fish the Joe Bass tournament down Lake of the Ozarks, and that tournament ended up getting canceled. And last weekend, I was going to fish the BFL on Lake of the Ozarks, as well as the USA Bass Tournament on Lake of the Ozarks, and those tournaments both got canceled. And so the past 2 weekends, I've made it out to do some fishing. Went down to Lake Egypt. Lake Egypt is a power plant lake located just outside Carbondale, Illinois. And I'd never fished Lake Egypt before. And so I was kind of curious to see, what the fishing was like down at Lake Egypt. I've heard stories of, people catching, big bags, throwing jerkbaits, and that there's a lot of big fish in that lake. And so we ventured down to Lake Egypt 2 weeks ago, and we really struggled. Like the first couple hours we got out there, I caught one fish that was over 3 pounds on a jig. I was throwing a J-Town tackle, half-ounce brush jig, and I was tipping that with just a full-size Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver, just like this, and ended up catching a really nice fish. But it wasn't until the guy I was fishing with, Scott, caught the second fish on a spinnerbait. And that bite really clued us in to what was going on because I was able to put together that the fish were relating to deep water, and they're really relating to those channel banks. And we actually ended up catching quite a few fish, throwing jerkbaits the rest of the day, and we ended up getting a limit by fishing those transitional areas where there was a channel close by. And so we probably had 11 or so pounds the first time that we went down to Lake Egypt for our 4 fish. They have a 4 fish limit on Lake Egypt, and it's a really weird lake. So there's a rule on Lake Egypt to where you cannot fish the boat docks. There's signs like on all these docks that say, do not cast within 10 feet of the dock. Well, the whole time that we were out there fishing, nobody said anything to us, and we'd also heard some stuff. There was various stuff online that said that you could fish within 10 foot of the dock, and that they're no longer enforcing that rule on the lake. So I still really don't know what the ruling is. We just tried to stay away from fishing these docks because we just didn't want any problems. So the first time we went down, we caught a few fish. Didn't do too bad, I would say, for the first time we fished the lake. There was a tournament going on, a 20-boat tournament or so that day, and ended up taking 12 pounds to win. We wouldn't have won the tournament. We had 11 or so pounds, but we came pretty close. It's just, we never really quite figured it out. Now, we went down to Lake Egypt last weekend, and it was a little bit different. We actually did a little bit better than we did the first time we went down. And again, I ended up catching 4 fish in the first 30 minutes by throwing this half-ounce J-Town tackle jig with a Sweet Beaver on it and a little bit deeper water off some of those points down by the hot water discharge. And one of them ended up being a nice keeper. And then the guy I was fishing with, Scott, he ended up catching a really nice fish on a crankbait, on just a little old red crankbait, which is usually good this time of the year as well. And so, but when we first started off, there wasn't a whole lot of wind, and so that's why I went to the jig, because in my opinion, when you don't have a whole lot of wind, jig is hard to beat this time of the year. So I ended up doing pretty good on that. As the afternoon went on and the wind started to really pick up, we actually started to catch a lot of fish throwing jerkbaits. So we did really good throwing these hard-bodied jerkbaits, and we ended up catching a few really nice fish in the afternoon, fishing those channel swing banks. And we ended up, doing a little bit better. I think we had, our 4 best fish would have probably gone around 12 pounds or so, so we did a little bit better than the first time. But we still wouldn't have won. They had a local tournament this past weekend down at Lake Egypt, and it ended up taking 14 or so pounds to win. And so we're starting to piece together the puzzle down there at Lake Egypt. We still haven't quite figured out, the secret sauce yet on what to be doing, but we're getting really close. anyways, I mean, it was really good to get out. A lot of places right now, it's hard to get out. A lot of lakes are frozen around here, so it was just good to get, you know, the boat into the water and get out and do some fishing. Guys, another thing, speaking of getting out and doing some fishing, if you're getting out in this cold weather and you're having some problems with ankle or joint pain, make sure you check out Real-Time Pain Relief. They got some really good creams that will help you get through those days, especially after those tough days on the water fishing in this cold weather. And right now, if you go to www.fishpainfree.com, you can try Real-Time Pain Relief for just $1. So make sure you guys check this out. All right, so you know, just got back from Lake Egypt. It was a great experience. This weekend, there's a couple tournaments going on that I'm fishing. I'm going to be heading down to Percy Priest, which is down in Tennessee. I'm going to be fishing the BFL down there. Fishing the BFL as a non-boater, so I don't know exactly how the day is going to go or who I'm going to draw. But in that part of the country, they've been having a lot of problems with a lot of flooding. And so I imagine the lake's probably going to be up a little bit, and who knows what we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to keep an open mind. And then also going on this Sunday, there's a jerkbait only tournament down at Lake of the Ozarks. And what that means is the only thing that you can throw is one of these hard-bodied jerkbaits. And so I'll be coming from Tennessee back to Lake of the Ozarks to fish that tournament as well on Sunday. And I'm really looking forward to getting out there and seeing if I can catch a few jerkbait fish. So that jerkbait only tournament, they're saying they're going to pay at least one spot for every 5 boats. And I think there's going to be quite a good turnout. So hopefully, you know, find some good fish and have a good tournament. And I know they're also going to be paying, I think, 2 spots for big bass, and they're also going to be paying out a bonus biggest crappie of the tournament, which I don't expect to win that, but at the same time, you never know. I mean, I've caught some really big, weird fish while I'm out there fishing, and, you know, now if it was a carp bonus fish tournament, like if you caught a big carp and you got paid for it, then I'd say I probably got a pretty good chance of getting paid. But this is for the biggest crappie, so I don't know. Maybe we'll luck into that fish, but that's something also that could possibly happen. So anyways, looking forward to this weekend. I know the weather, it's supposed to be a little bit warmer. I think this Saturday they calling for 60 degrees down there in Tennessee. I know it's really cold right now, but it's going to be warming up. And hopefully, you know, there's a good bite on Lake of the Ozarks. We're supposed to get, you know, 15-mile-per-hour wind out of the west, which, you know, usually the fish like to bite down there, but the water temperature at the lake's been really cold. It's been like 36 to 37 degrees all around the lake, and so it's going to be a challenge to get bit. So hopefully some of these places that, you know, I've fished over the past couple of years have got some fish hanging out and I can get them to bite, but we'll just have to see what happens. Okay, so another thing you guys need to do is if you're getting out there in the cold, make sure you guys check out some of this Elite Angler wear. If you go to EliteAngler.com, they've got all different kinds of hats, beanies, hoodies. They also got some new rain gear that you guys need to check out. And if you get over there, make sure you use the promo code SClark at checkout, and you will save 10% instantly off your purchase. And so, guys, check them out at EliteAngler.com and check out all the different apparel that they have over there. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to give you guys the Geared Up Transmissions tip of the week. And this week, what I'm talking about is jerkbait fishing. And it's so fitting because we got this jerkbait tournament that's coming up over the weekend. And, you know, these tips I'm going to give you, they've helped me catch a lot more fish on a jerkbait. I don't claim to be the best jerkbait fisherman in the world, but at the same time, I've noticed certain things over the past couple years of fishing that, you know, translate into catching more fish when throwing a jerkbait. And so one of the things that you got to do most of the time when you're fishing these jerkbaits this time of year, these suspending jerkbaits, is you want to add some weight to your jerkbait. So I've got one of these Razr Rods over here, and I've got one of my jerkbaits on this rod. Getting it ready to go for this weekend. And you can see I've added a little suspend dot here to the front. And what that dot's going to do is it's going to help me get that bait down deeper where those big fish are going to be. You know, we've had some really, really cold weather lately, and, you know, these fish, they're going to be down there just a little bit deeper. And it's going to be important to get that bait down to those fish. And, you know, even though if we get some wind like they're calling for, it might not matter as much because that will position those fish a little bit higher in that water column. But if, you know, if those fish are where I think they're going to be, it's going to be important to get that bait down just a little bit deeper. The other thing, too, that I recommend doing to your jerkbaits is swapping out the hooks. So you can see on this bait right here, I've got some triple grip treble hooks, some Mustad triple grip treble hooks on there. And I don't care if you're throwing, you know, the cheapo depot jerkbaits, or if you're throwing, you know, some of these expensive Megabass jerkbaits. Like here I've got some Megabass jerkbaits. All these jerkbaits, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out those hooks with some Mustad triple grip hooks. Those hooks, for the most part, never let me down. They help me catch a lot more fish when I'm throwing these kind of baits. And so usually what I'll do on my jerkbaits is I'll put some number 6 Mustad triple grips on those baits. And I mean, even these high dollar Megabass, you know, they claim to come with these hooks that are supposed to help your improve your catch. I even swapped those out with some Mustad hooks. So make sure you guys get some number 6 Mustad triple grips and swap those out. And if you're jerkbait fishing, another thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you spool your reels up with some 8-pound line. For whatever reason, it's the diameter, it just improves the action of the bait. I seem to catch more fish when I'm using 8-pound line than if I'm using the higher test size. And a lot of the guys, they'll claim that it doesn't make a difference. But if I can really think back to a lot of the bigger fish that I've caught on a jerkbait, you know, say like the fish that I caught in the Big Bass Bash. I caught the 4th biggest fish overall in the Big Bass Bash a couple years ago and won over $1,000 throwing a jerkbait on 8-pound line. And so this here is some vicious 8-pound fluorocarbon. This is what I'm going to be spooling all my reels up this weekend to throw these jerkbaits. And so you guys need to check out Vicious and get you some 8-pound tests for your jerkbait fishing. Now, when it comes to cadence on the jerkbait, there's a couple different things that you can do when you're throwing this jerkbait. One of the most productive ways to work a jerkbait is I like to throw it out there and I like to give it 2 quick twitches and I like to let it sit. And when I let it sit, I might let it sit for 4 seconds. I might let it sit for 20 seconds. But most of the time, you don't have to let it sit a whole lot. You can get by with letting it sit for 4 and sometimes even 7 seconds. And if that technique's not working, a lot of times what I like to do is 3 quick twitches. I'll do 3 quick snaps of the rod and then I'll start counting again. Sometimes you can get them to where they really want you to jerkbait when you're working it really fast, even in the cold, in the cold like it is now. I'll throw that jerkbait out there and I'll pull it down real quick to get that jerkbait to dive and get to its maximum depth. And then I'll just give it quick little pops of the rod and I'll just keep that jerkbait walking. I'll give it a snap, let it sit for a second, snap, snap, let it sit, snap, snap, let it sit. And I'll just work it real quick like that. And when that jerkbait pauses, most of the time is when that fish is going to be on there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can throw a jerkbait, and you just got to experiment with, you know, the cadence. But those would be some of the most productive cadences that I've found to fish over the last couple of years of throwing jerkbaits. Also, guys, you know, check out these new shirts. I'm gonna have a new sponsor for 2019 called Success Promotions. If you're a business owner, if you're looking to if you need shirts made, if you need hats made, if you need giveaways, whether it's keychains, bobbleheads, handbags, if you're hosting a local event and you need any of these items, make sure you check out Success Promotions. They can accommodate all your business needs as far as, you know, creating this stuff. And their headquarters is located right here in St. Louis. So if you're interested and you need some of that stuff, make sure to check them out. Okay, guys, so hope you guys have enjoyed the tips. Make sure that you like the video and you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow this channel. We're trying to get more people tuning into these tips and to these videos. Like I said, coming up, you know, as this weather breaks and we start fishing, you know, every weekend, we're going to have a whole lot of content on here, and we're going to have a whole lot of, you know, stories about fishing. So be sure to tune in. Just go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you share the video on your pages. Share it on your Facebook. Share it with your friends. Let's try to spread the word of these fishing videos. Like I said, the bigger that this channel gets, the better it's going to be, and I'll be able to give you guys a lot more content and put up a lot more videos, so make sure you guys share the page. All right, until next time, guys, take it easy.